Welcome back to the deep dive. Today, oh boy, we are getting into it. We're dissecting probably the most intense 15 minutes in modern RPGs.
You're not kidding. We're talking Fallout 4's opening. Character creation, the vault, the blast. It's a whole thing.
It really is. And we're going to break down that weird tension at the heart of it. You know, how the game makes you the sole survivor at this walking math problem.
Yeah. Defined by those initial special points.
But at the same time, you're locked into this super specific, really traumatic story, like right out of the gate.
Exactly. And we've got the guys, the lore entries, and yeah, the endless heated fan arguments about whether any of it actually works. Does it land, or is it just a mess?
That's the mission today. We want to figure out how those two things, the player agency through numbers and the railroaded story trauma, how they smash together.
So we'll start with the blueprint, the special system, what those numbers really mean. Then Vault 111, the less than cozy long sleep.
Less than cozy is putting it mildly. And finally, the big one. The narrative choices, the pacing, and the physics. Could anyone actually, survive that opening nuke scene?
That's always a fun one. So yeah, let's dig in.
Okay, let's do it. First things first. The character sheet. Before the world even ends, you're fiddling with numbers. And it feels maybe trivial,
Yeah.
but it's so critical.
Right. The core idea seems pretty open at first glance. Fallout 4, unlike some older RPGs, doesn't technically have a level cap.
Meaning you could eventually max everything out, get all the perks, all stats to 10.
Theoretically, yes. If you played for, like, an insane amount of time, we're talking hundreds, maybe thousands of hours, hundreds of levels. It's possible on paper.
But that sounds like, oh, initial choices don't matter then. But they really do, don't they? Especially for, like, the first chunk of the game.
Oh, absolutely critical. It's the difference between your first, say, 50 hours being a total slog or feeling actually powerful and capable. It defines your playthrough's trajectory.
It's about specializing early versus trying to be okay at everything.
Pretty much. Like if you dump, say, 7 points into intelligence right at the start, bam, you get perks for way more XP gain. Or you can craft better mods much earlier.
Which speeds up the whole process, makes that no-cap thing feel a bit closer.
Exactly. Or you dump it all into strength. You become a melee beast, carry tons of junk, but maybe you level slower, miss out on dialogue options early on.
So how does that initial point distribution work again? It's pretty tight.
Super tight. You start with a base of 1 in all 7 special stats: strength, perception, endurance, charisma, intelligence, agility, luck.
The classics.
Yep. And then the game gives you just 21 points to add on top of those base ones. That's it. That's your starting capital.
21 points spread across 7 stats. You can't max anything out right away.
Nope. And there's another restriction. The highest you can set any single stat during this initial creation is 10. So you have to spread the points.
Which forces some hard choices. If you want, I don't know, a perk that needs perception 8.
That's 7 of your 21 points. Gone. Right there. Committed. So you're constantly weighing, okay, what do I need now versus what high-level stuff do I want to unlock later?
It's a budget, a very strict character budget. And these points, they do more than just make numbers go up slightly, right?
Right. 2 main effects. First, the obvious one, derived statistics.
Like what?
Health points, action points for VATS, carry capacity, melee damage. That stuff is directly tied to your special scores. More endurance, more HP, more strength, carry more junk. Simple.
Okay, makes sense. But the second effect is the big one.
Absolutely. Perk availability. This is the gatekeeper. Your numerical score and a special stat determines which perks you can even choose when you level up.
So if I want that insane agility perk, Blitz, where you basically teleport in VTS.
You need agility 9, period. Doesn't matter if you're level 50, if your agility is 8, you cannot take Blitz. Want local leader to connect settlements? Charisma 6, minimum. Gun nut for weapon mods. Intelligence 3 to start, higher for better mods.
So those initial 21 points are literally defining what kind of character you can be, what tools you'll have access to.
Exactly. And that ties into the progression loop after you leave the vault. This is where the system really locks you in.
Okay, talk me through that. You level up, then what?
Every single time you level up, you get one choice. Just one. Either pick a perk from the chart, assuming you meet its special requirement, or increase one of your base special stats by 1 point.
Ah, okay, so it's a constant dilemma.
A constant, sometimes agonizing calculus.
Yeah.
Do you take, say, Rifleman rank 2 right now? Get that immediate 20% damage boost with rifles? That feels good now.
Instant gratification.
Totally.
Yeah.
Or do you skip that damage boost this level and instead bump your strengths from, say, 7 to 8.
Which gives you barely any immediate benefit, right? A tiny bit more parry weight.
Right. But maybe you're doing it because Strength 8 unlocks the third rank of the Strong Back perk later on, the one that lets you fast travel even when you're over-encumbered.
Which is a huge quality of life improvement later in the game, so it's short-term gain versus long-term investment.
Precisely. You're sacrificing immediate power to open up future possibilities. Raising that base special stat is often the only way to get access to those really game-changing high-tier perks.
And getting those base special points up outside of leveling is super rare, I assume.
Extremely rare. You got the 7 bobbleheads scattered across the Commonwealth, one for each stat. Finding one gives you a permanent +1.
Okay, so that's 7 points total.
And there's one other item, the Your Special book. It's hidden near Sean's crib in your old house in Sanctuary. That lets you add 1 point to any stat you choose.
So 8 points total, freebies across the entire massive game world. That's not a lot.
Not at all. It's a drop in the bucket if your goal is eventually maxing everything. It emphasizes how important those level-up choices are.
Okay, this leads us to something you called the equipment trap. This messes people up, right?
Oh, yeah. All the time. Because you find gear, clothes, armor, hats, glasses that gives you temporary special bonuses.
Like, I find a fancy suit, put it on, and suddenly my charisma jumps from 4 to 6 on the Pip-Boy screen.
Exactly. And that +2 does work for things like speech checks and dialogue.
Yeah.
You can absolutely put on your talking suit to pass a difficult persuasion attempt.
Okay, useful, but...
But the game has a hard, unbreakable rule. Those temporary buffs from gear do not count towards meeting the special requirements for perks.
Okay, so even if my Pip-Boy says charisma 6 because of my suit.
If your base charisma, the points you actually invested at level up or creation, is only 4, you still can't take that local leader perk that requires charisma 6. It'll stay locked on the perk chart.
That's kind of brutal. So if I really want that perk, I have to spend a level up point on charisma itself. I can't just wear the right hat.
Nope. You have to make the permanent investment.
Yeah.
Spend that level up point, get your base charisma to 6, then you can take the perk.
So you can't just cheese the system by swapping outfits constantly to unlock high-tier stuff.
Exactly. Bethesda clearly wanted players to commit. If you want to be a master hacker or a smooth talker or a science whiz, you need to invest your actual character points into intelligence or charisma. You just wear the lab coat.
It really makes those initial 21 points and every single level up choice after feel incredibly permanent. Like you're laying the foundation for the entire playthrough.
That's the perfect analogy. You're building the character's architecture and you can't easily remodel later.
Okay, so we've got the math, the rigid structure of the character build now. Let's contrast that with the absolute chaos and horror of where that character starts. Let's talk Vault 111. Right, Vault 111. The first thing to get out of the way is, this wasn't a normal vault, was it? It wasn't about saving people.
Not even close. Forget Vault 101's society or Vault 81's actual attempt at survival. Vault 111 was purely an experiment. Vault Tech doing what Vault Tech does best.
Which is?
Unethical human experimentation. Their stated goal for 111 was, and I quote the lore, to observe the effects of long-term cryonic stasis on unsuspecting test subjects.
Unsuspecting. So the people going in, the player character's family included, they had no idea.
None whatsoever. They were residents from nearby Sanctuary Hills and conquered. Vault Tech sold them spots, promising safety. When the bombs fell and they rushed in, they were told the pods were for decontamination.
A lie. A bold-faced lie to get them into the freezers.
Yep. And the vault itself reflects this. It's noted as being significantly smaller than most other vaults. It didn't need space for generations of dwellers, just enough for the staff and the frozen cargo.
God, that's grim. And the entry itself, that morning of the Great War, it was chaos.
Pure panic. The family, Nate or Nora and Sean, barely make it onto the platform as it's descending.
And then didn't someone get left behind? Someone important?
Oh, the irony is thick. The Vault Tech rep, the guy who literally sold the spots, possibly even the sole survivor spot. He doesn't have authorization, gets denied entry by the security guards, and is left outside as the door seals.
Karma's a bitch, I guess, so they get sealed in just as the nuke hits nearby.
They see the mushroom cloud on the horizon. As the platform lowers them down, they're in, they're safe. But the horror is just starting. Inside the pods.
In and outside the pods, for the staff who weren't frozen.
Yeah, the vault had a mandatory minimum shelter period, 180 days, 6 months. After that, standard Vault Tech procedure was to wait for an all-clear signal before opening up.
Which never came, obviously.
Never came. So the overseer, Maybe following secret orders, maybe just paranoid about radiation, refused to open the main vault door.
Even though they were running out of supplies.
Exactly. The security staff and support personnel started pushing back. They argued, we're going to starve in here, we need to leave. Supplies were dwindling.
And the overseer didn't budge.
Nope. Doubled down. Placed the entire vault on lockdown, demanded all remaining food, weapons, medicine be turned over to him.
Oh, that sounds like a recipe for disaster.
And it was. The official logs apparently cut off right around there. But the implication, and what you find later.
Skeletons. Signs of violence.
Yep. Scattered skeletal remains in the staff areas, some showing signs of trauma. The clear suggestion is that the staff turned on each other. Mutiny, fighting over resources, maybe the overseer was killed, maybe they all just killed each other. Either way, they didn't last long after the lockdown.
So while the sole survivor is just sleeping peacefully on ice,
The people meant to watch over them were having their own little post-apocalyptic nightmare and dying off just meters away.
okay, so fast forward. The staff are dead, the residents are frozen, years pass, decades.
We jump ahead 60 years to 2227. The Institute enters the picture.
Ah, the Commonwealth boogeymen. Why were they interested in Vault 111?
Not the vault itself, but its contents. Specifically Sean, an infant frozen before the bombs fell.
Why Sean?
They needed his DNA. It was completely uncorrupted by post-war radiation. Perfect baseline human genetic material.
For what purpose?
To create their advanced Generation 3 synths, they needed pristine pre-war DNA as a template. Sean was the jackpot.
So they broke it.
They found a way in. And they sent a team, notably Conrad Kellogg and a couple of Institute scientists.
Kellogg, the mercenary. This is where it gets really dark.
This is the core trauma. They remotely thaw the sole survivor's pod and the spouse's pod where Sean is. The scientists grab Sean.
And the spouse resists, obviously, tries to stop them.
Yeah, tries to protect their child. And Kellogg, he doesn't screw around. He just shoots the spouse, executes them right there.
While the sole survivor is forced to watch, helpless in their own pod.
Trapped. Watching their partner murdered, their child stolen, and then Kellogg orders them put back on ice, refrozen immediately.
Jesus Christ, that is, yeah. Okay, so they get frozen again. For how long this time?
Another long stretch. They finally wake up, for real this time, in 2287. That's 210 years after the Great War.
2 centuries on ice, punctuated by that. And when they wake up, everyone else is dead.
Everyone, all the other frozen residents. The initial explanation you find, maybe in a terminal log, is something like asphyxiation due to life support failure, like it was just a technical glitch over the decades.
But that's not the real story, is it?
Nope. The darker truth, revealed much later in the game, is that after Kellogg took Sean, he specifically ordered the Institute scientists not to reactivate the life support for the other pods.
He intentionally let them die. Why?
To cover their tracks, eliminate witnesses, ensure no one else from the vault could ever trace Sean back to the Institute. It wasn't an accident. It was murder on a massive scale.
Wow, okay. That reframes everything. So the sole survivor is the only one left alive.
Because they were needed as the backup. Kellogg kept their pod running just in case something went wrong with Sean.
And their eventual release, waking up in 2287, was that an accident? Did the system finally fail?
That's the final gut punch. No, it wasn't an accident either. It's revealed late game that the sole survivor's own release was a deliberate, conscious choice.
Made by who?
By Sean, their son, who, by 2287, had grown up in the Institute and become its director. He let his surviving parent out.
Okay, my head hurts. That's a lot to process. The whole motivation changes.
Completely. It adds layers of complexity, tragedy, and frankly, fucked upness to the entire main quest.
So when you finally stumble out of that pod, what's the vault actually like? Besides the dead bodies.
It's grim. Mummified corpses still in some pods, those skeletons we mentioned, signs of decay, machinery obviously offline in places,
Yeah.
and radroaches. Your first charming welcome to the wasteland.
The giant cockroaches. Lovely. But the structure itself, is it falling apart?
Here's a weird little contradiction the sources note. Despite 210 years of neglect and catastrophe, the interior of Vault 111 is actually described as being in remarkably good condition compared to many other abandoned vaults you find in the series.
Oh, why?
Maybe the cryosystems, running for so long, inadvertently helped preserve the environment. Less moisture, stable temperature. Or maybe it was just built to a higher standard initially. It's a bit strange.
And loot. What do you actually find on your way out besides trauma?
The essentials. You find the Pip-Boy 3000 Mark IV on a dead scientist's skeleton near the exit controls. Crucial.
Can't play without it.
You find your spouse's wedding ring on their corpse in the cryopod, which is just Heavy.
Yeah. Adds insult to injury.
And then there's the infamous one, the cryolator.
Ah, the freeze gun. Locked away. Right.
Locked behind a master-level lock in the overseer's office.
Oh.
Taunting you. You see this unique, powerful weapon right at the start of the game.
And unless you specifically built for lockpicking or know the dog meat glitch.
You're leaving it behind. It's such a classic Bethesda move. Here's awesome treasure. You can't have it yet. Come back much, much later.
It really does hammer home that point about initial special choices mattering. If you didn't take perception and the locksmith perk, too bad.
Exactly. Or it encourages that metagaming behavior. Okay, I need a power level lockpicking ASAP just to come back here and get that damn gun.
So, okay. We've got the stats, we've got the horrifying backstory of the vault. Before we step out into the sun, we need to talk about how the community reacted to this whole opening sequence, because people have opinions.
Yeah, this is where the design choices really come under fire. That whole sequence, from making coffee to watching your spouse get murdered, it's probably one of the most debated openings in the entire Fallout series.
Oh, massively. A lot of the fan feedback, if you boil it down, centers on this idea that it's a weird hybrid intro that doesn't really succeed at either style it's attempting.
What are the two styles?
Generally, Fallout openings lean one of two ways. You've got the long, slow burn, character-building intro like Fallout 3.
Right, the birthday party, the GUA test, your relationship with your dad.
Yeah.
You spend time living in the vault before shit hits the fan.
Exactly. Builds connection. Then you have the other style, like New Vegas. Short, sharp, action focus. You get shot in the head, wake up, and boom, you're off seeking revenge. Gets you into the game world fast.
And Fallout 4 tries to do both and fails. That's the common criticism. It takes too long to be a quick action intro. You're fiddling with menus, talking to Codsworth, looking at baby Sean. But it's way too short to build any real emotional connection before the tragedy hits.
So the core quest motivation, I must find my kidnapped son, feels kind of hollow.
For a lot of players, yeah. The feedback is brutal on this point. The spouse is shot, the baby's gone, all within like 15 minutes of meeting them. One source summed it up perfectly, saying they didn't feel driven to find Sean because he was their beloved child, but because he was the kid of that chick I met for a few minutes.
Ouch. Even though it is supposed to be your character's kid, the player hasn't formed that bond.
Exactly. The game tells you it's tragic, but it doesn't give you the time or the context to feel it.
Were there suggestions on how they could have fixed that, made the connection stronger?
Yeah, some pretty simple ones, actually. Like instead of just that tiny slice of life inside the house, maybe show the family doing something mundane outside.
Like going shopping.
Yeah, maybe a short sequence at the local super-duper mart. See them interact as a family. But maybe while they're there, you see hints that the pre-war utopia is already crumbling.
Like what? Protests? Shortages?
Exactly. Maybe some riots, maybe people begging, signs of the resource wars heating up. That would do two things. Build attachment to the family unit and subtly foreshadow the coming apocalypse, making it feel less like it came out of nowhere.
Instead, it's just perfect house, door-to-door salesman, oops, nuclear war, spouse dead, baby gone, freeze, way too fast.
Way too fast. And that speed leads into the next big criticism, the wasted backstory.
Ah, right, Nate the soldier, nor the lawyer. The game tells you who you are.
It gives you a defined background, which is unusual for Bethesda. They usually favor the blank slate prisoner vault dweller. Here you have a history of profession, applied skills.
But then it just drops it.
Almost entirely.
Yeah.
Once you leave Vault 111, your character basically becomes that blank slate anyway. Nate's military background comes up in maybe a handful of optional dialogue lines, nor his law degree. Even less relevant.
So it feels pointless. Like, why define them at all?
That's the question players ask. Was it lazy writing? Did they just not know how to integrate it? It feels like a missed opportunity. They set up this potentially interesting character and then did nothing with it.
And it affects how the character reacts to the world, too, right? Like seeing Boston destroyed.
Yeah, the sources point out the sole survivor seems weirdly unfazed. They step out, see their entire world obliterated, the city they presumably lived in turned to radioactive rubble, and their reaction is basically, well, this just sucks. Okay, we're Sean.
No real shock, no grief for the lost world, just task-oriented.
Pretty much. It feels like just another wrench in the works, as one source put it. There's no sense of personal loss for the place, just for the kidnapped baby they barely knew. It undermines the idea that this was their home.
It feels like a clash of design philosophies. They needed a defined character for the main story's emotional core.
Like Geralt in The Witcher. His history makes his personal quests impactful.
But Bethesda games are built on player freedom, on letting you decide who you are.
Exactly. And Fallout 4's intro tried to have it both ways, and for many, satisfied neither. It created a character with a defined past that never amounts to anything once the game actually starts.
Okay, there's one more major critique of the intro, a bit different, coming from longtime fans.
Ah, yes. The showing the pre-war world was a mistake argument.
Explain that. Why would seeing the world before the bombs be bad?
For some players, a core part of Fallout's appeal is the mystery of the past. You're exploring this post-nuclear wasteland, this carcass of a strange world from long ago, and you're piecing together what happened, who these people were through ruins, terminals, holotapes. It's like archaeology.
Okay, I get that. Discovering the story through exploration.
Right, but Fallout 4 just shows you the pre-war world. Clean houses, working cars, Nuka-Cola machines. It removes the mystery.
And replaces it with...
Nostalgia, maybe? But a forced nostalgia for something the player only experienced for 10 minutes, it shifts the focus from, what was this world, to, I remember this brief sequence. For those fans, it fundamentally changed the feeling of Fallout, making the player an active participant in the past rather than an investigator of its ruins.
That's a really interesting point. It sacrifices that sense of discovery for a dramatic prologue.
Pretty much. Another casualty of that fast-paced cinematic intro.
Okay, so stats chosen, trauma endured, narrative critiques aired. You step blinking into the sunlight. But wait, before you even got frozen, you saw the nuke go off. Let's talk physics. All right, this is where we get into the fun weeds. The sole survivor, the crowd on the elevator platform, they are looking at the mushroom cloud as they descend. Real-world physics. Should they all be dead? Like instantly.
Ah, the age-old nukes in video games debate. Okay, let's break down what happens in a real nuclear detonation, based on the sources, including folks apparently trained in NBC nuclear biological chemical defense.
Lay it on me. Sequence of events.
First, bang, literally, in a thermal pulse. Intense heat and light, traveling at the speed of light. If you can see the fireball, this has already hit you.
Okay, speed of light, very fast. What's next?
Initial radiation gamma rays, neutrons. Also travels near the speed of light. Hits you almost simultaneously with the light and heat.
Also bad. And then comes the boom.
Then comes the overpressure wave, the shock wave. This is what you typically see expanding outwards in films. It moves supersonically, so faster than sound, but much slower than light and heat.
Okay. Heat light radiation first, instant, then shockwave, delayed.
Got it. So argument one, they could survive it. How?
This argument focuses mostly on the shockwave. The NBC trained source argues that at the likely distance involved,
Which is what, roughly?
the probable ground zero is the crater of Adam, which is about 30 kilometers or maybe 18, 19 miles from Vault 111's location near Sanctuary Hills.
Okay, that's pretty far.
At that distance, the shockwave itself, while powerful, wouldn't necessarily carry lethal heat or radiation. It's mostly just immense air pressure. And they're going underground on an elevator.
That's key. Being below ground level, even slightly, offers significant protection from a flat plane shockwave. Think of diving into a ditch during an explosion. The elevator shaft acts like that ditch.
So the shockwave might blow debris around, maybe rupture eardrums, but not necessarily liquefy them.
Plausible. Focusing only on the shockwave at that distance, yes. The real danger after the shockwave passes would be the vacuum effect sucking debris into the shaft, the fallout starting to descend, but the initial pressure wave. Maybe survivable in that specific scenario.
Okay, maybe. But argument B says, nope, all dead. Why?
Because they forgot about step one. The thermal pulse, the heat flash, that arrives instantly.
Speed of light.
The speed of light. Sources state that even 10 kilometers, about 6 miles, from a 1 megaton bomb, exposed people would suffer fatal third-degree burns. Closer in, like 5 kilometers, it's instant vaporization.
And visually, in the game, that blast looks pretty damn close and pretty big.
Way too close and way too big, according to many physics-minded players. If the visual representation were accurate for a bomb, powerful enough to look like that from Vault 111, everyone on that platform should have been flash-fried before the elevator even descended an inch. Eyes melting, brains boiling, the whole 9 yards. Gruesome, but that's what intense thermal radiation does at close range. The fact they can see it and react means the game is already ignoring the deadliest part.
And what about the radiation? Step 2.
Same problem. Seeing the blast means you're getting hit by that initial wave of gamma and neutron radiation instantly. Even if the dose isn't immediately lethal, which depends on yield and distance, it's a significant, unavoidable dose.
The concrete elevator helps, maybe? Shielding.
Only once you're inside it,
Mm-hmm.
while you're standing on the open platform watching the pretty mushroom cloud, you're getting irradiated. No way around it.
So the consensus leans towards scientifically impossible.
Pretty much, the physics just don't line up with survival,
Yeah.
especially given the visual drama the game presents. You had to invoke Fallout physics, which means the game prioritizes drama and gameplay over realism. You need the sole survivor to witness the end of their world. It's a critical story beat. So physics gets hand-waved away.
You just have to accept it. Suspend disbelief.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, later in the game, your character can literally survive getting hit almost directly by a mini nuke from a Fat Man launcher if you have the right armor or perks. That's absurd.
Yeah, okay. Good point. If you can survive that, surviving the distant Great War blast because you ducked into an elevator shaft seems almost reasonable by comparison.
Exactly. Ignore the real-world nuke facts. Focus on the drama. That's the rule the game implicitly asks you to follow. Spectacle over science.
Makes sense. It's a game, after all, an incredibly traumatic, mathematically complex, physics-defying game. Hashtag tag outro.
Wow. Okay, we have covered a lot of ground today. From the absolute mathematical necessity of those first 21 special points.
Yeah, realizing they're permanent architectural choices, not just suggestions. And that whole equipment trap forcing you to commit. To the truly chilling reality of Vault 111. Not a safe haven, but a freezer for a horrifying experiment. Ending in mutiny. Murder.
And that final twist, knowing Kellogg let the others die and Sean let you out. Just heavy stuff.
And then wading through all that community debate about the intro's pacing, the lack of emotional connection, the wasted potential of Nate and Nora's backstories.
Plus the whole showing the pre-war world, ruin the mystery angle. And of course the delightful impossibility of surviving the nuke you clearly watch go off.
It really highlights that core conflict in Fallout 4, doesn't it? This deep, intricate RPG system with numbers and perks slammed right up against this fast, cinematic, almost railroaded narrative that sometimes just throws logic out the window for a big moment.
It absolutely does. It's a game defined by that push and pull, that tension between player agency and developer-dictated story, for better or worse.
So as we wrap up, here's something for you, the listener, to chew on as you wander the Commonwealth. We know Vault-Tec did this cryo experiment in Vault 111. We know the idea literally came from the developers seeing real cryo tanks at MIT.
Implying they drew inspiration directly from real-world tech for their fictional horrors.
Exactly. So the question is, what other piece of seemingly normal pre-war technology or everyday life that you see scattered around the wasteland, a giddy-up buttercup, a specific brand of cram, a type of building construction, and what else might Vault-Tec have twisted into some kind of secret, sinister social experiment we just haven't uncovered yet?
What innocuous piece of the old world is actually a ticking time bomb of Vault-Tec malevolence? What knowledge are you, the player, carrying right now just by observing the world that they might have planned to use against people 200 years down the line?
Keep digging through those terminals. You never know what you'll find. Thanks for joining us on The Deep Dive.